Hello guys, thanks for coming back again to lecture 3 part 2. So in the first part we've spoken about the first stage when you try to develop a system. You need to think of which approach is really relevant to you and to the system that you want to launch. Once you know this, well, you go ahead with your analysis and your design, and then you need to interview people. In some cases you need to do focus groups if you have a problematic case. So if you have two conflicts from two sides, you get these people in a round table and you go focus groups. Or in other cases you just interview them individually to get a sort of interpretation of what sort of information and data required. So you do the information audit as we agreed. Now in this section I'm going to take you to why we really need to understand the interface issues. Now what happens is that people have their own experience of a system, their own imagination, why we need a system, so this is their social needs. And then there are IT technicians sitting in closed rooms, thinking deeply about the IT, the software availability, how much would it cost, how much time it would take, some technical issues. Now, when they deliver something without studying the human side and the needs, you have design actuality gap, and this is why we need to study this session. Okay, so usually I see a heart here, so this is what I can feel from the cloud that you see out there. At the same time, it's just a cloud, so a technician would see it a sort of physical and chemical component, while you as a human, you will try to conceptualize it, to embrace your social experience and feeling on the interface that you see. So there's always a gap between the user experience, which we call UX, and the user interface, which is something designed by the IT technicians. Now the UI, this is something that would be delivered in your mobile handsets. So this is how the end user would press something, next, password, technical mistake, go back, all these issues in the mobile handset. This is called user interface. Now your user experience need to match what has been designed for you. Okay, so the user experience is more emotional, the user interface is technical. When we spoken in the previous session about the system development, we spoken mainly about how to develop things, and this will end up with user interface. But in this session I'm going to talk to you about the emotional side. We call it human cognition. So I'm going to take you through a journey where we have the key elements of human cognition. But before we go ahead with this, we need to have an example. So this is a user interface. This is a mobile app being delivered by a company. Now if you look at this app, it's not really attractive. It doesn't tell you what is going on. A bit confusing. So have a look at it and tell you, do you think your user experience is positive for this one? Okay, the user experience would be, well, this is what you expect from a mobile app. You expect integrated systems. You need, a full picture of what's going on. What would be the next step? What was the previous step? You can have easy access to previous earlier steps, not 1, 2, 3. You can have jumps and different linked windows out there to enhance your experience. Okay, now the problem comes when the user interface technicians who design this system, they don't know their target audience. So they might think, okay, this car is really nice for kids, but then adults will like it. So now they might enjoy it because simply they have a socio-materiality orientation, which means they will bring their own social impression on the materials they develop. Okay, but does it mean that what they really like in their lives would be accepted by other users, by normal users? It depends. So this girl enjoys her car. If she designed a car, she will design it in her own way, but maybe adults wouldn't like it. Think of this remote control. It's something centered. it doesn't give you the experience of what STV is. Okay, so now I'm going to take you to these key elements of human cognition, how our human mind processes things, so how we have inputs from the outside world, and how we can process this into a meaning, and then we get outputs that can be interpreted into actions. Okay, so these key elements are attention, perception and recognition, memory, learning, reading, speaking, problem solving. So I'm going to take you through these elements based on which we will have different design implications. So how you can develop a mobile app for mobile banking and fintech is that really raises the human attention, enhances the perception and recognition of the users, catch up their memory, because humans have short-term memory and long-term memory. And I'm going to talk to you about the magical number 7. And then I'm going to take you to different reading and speaking techniques, because we might target elderly people who are illiterate, or maybe they have some disabilities, or so there are disabilities, there are age issues, there are gender issues, there are common sense issues that we will cover today in this session. And then I'm going to end up with problem solving. So if you really need to solve a dilemma, so let's say your mobile banking application has trading option. So you can trade on cryptocurrency or Bitcoin elements. So in the second section of this module, you will study further about cryptocurrency and blockchain. Now, if you incorporate this into a normal mobile banking system, this means you need to know things about inflation, stock exchange prices, what's going on, reputational things of the company. So you need to solve a problem. Now, does this mobile app that you deliver as user interface would enhance the problem solving experience of your user? So this is one of the key questions. Okay, so attention. Now, in many cases when you develop mobile app or interface, you just forget attention. You forget to clarify the main message, what's this application for. So users keep feel confused, what is it for, what is the starting point, where should I log in, so they feel lost. Now coloring is really a big issue out there. Texting, how much text versus visuals. Now if you deal with young age people, normally they will like less reading and more visuals. If you work with more mature people or elderly people, they would love clear text than visuals. So these are crucial issues that you need to take into consideration. Now I want you to stop this video and do this activity. Try to find the price of a double room at Holiday Inn in Bradley. And then tell me, write down your answer, okay? And try to tell me what did you see on the web. So you can just use any browser. Okay, now I wish you did this task, but I'm afraid to tell you, you will find unstructured results. Things are not really framed in the right way. The layout of these data might take you everywhere. You might find specific websites like bookings.com, Travel Planner, Trivago, some of these platforms. Once you get into them, you will see different ways of organizing data. So if you are delivering a sort of interface, you need to consider how the data layout being organized. Again, I want you to stop this video and do this next activity. So find the price of a double room at Quality Inn in Colombia. Write your answer down and come back to me so we can discuss what did you find. Okay, now you might see another way of laying out data, but in this case, because Colombia, the market is rich and competitive, so you will see different platforms in South Carolina, detailed data and split it in terms of city, the hotel, the area code, the phone number, single and double bedroom and different rates, because the market is really rich out there, and there are different platforms who organize data differently. But you can see the layout of this interface and the data in this interface makes a huge difference for us to make decisions. Okay, so both displays have the same destiny and density of information. So you know where to go, how much information. Let's say 31% of what you really need is there. Well, you need to go maybe further to see comments from previous customers. So not every data you want can be available, but if you can find all data that you really want, then your user experience is high. Okay. If you compare between the first screen and the second screen, the first screen takes 5.5 seconds to get the results, while the other one you get more organized data and it takes up to 3.2 seconds. Okay, so spacing between these things, coloring, layout are crucial issues. So coloring, ordering, spacing, underlining, putting frames is one of these issues. So would you put a colorful frame around the important data? Would you do highlighting? So this is something we would discuss in the next point. So attention is quite important. Now perception. So perception is the second human cognition element, and it tells you how would you really recognize the world around you. Okay, now the way you write text should be legible text. The way you use icons, so it needs to reflect common sense. So let's assume I'm developing a mobile app for a mall, and you need to find a bathroom. So if you want to find the bathroom, there is a need for a common sense sign, which once anybody see it, it means WC or bathroom. So we need to consider the common sense, cultural sense. When you use a red color in China, it makes a huge difference. So the red flag in China would be completely different when you use it for, American or British people. Okay, so the way you use phrases as well, meaning. Okay, and these are examples of these signs that you can find. Metro station, exit. These things need to be common sense, so when you use them in your app, it would be perceived same way by all users. Okay, now I'm gonna give you an example. Go and Google it, find the word Italian, and tell me what did you find. So stop this video, go find what do you know about Italian as a word. Okay. When you come back, you might see different data. Now it depends on your interface. Some of you would use Android phones, some of you would use iPhone phones, or maybe use just a tablet or laptop. When you use a tablet or laptop, you will see data scattered and organized in squares, and most of your results will be about food, Italian pasta, Italian cheese. So highlighting and squaring, it would tell you about the most important thing. When you use Google's normal Google platform, Google browser would give you specific colors for the most important things. So Italian in Manchester, you will see Italian restaurant in Manchester with a blue color. So it sheds the light on something really more important for you if you want to know about Italian culture and Italian word. Same for French. So I want you to do this exercise and you will see different results, different framing, not coloring, and you will see hotels, fashion clothes, perfumes, and other results. Okay? Each one of these lessons have design implications. So, okay, and then the third element. So we discussed these first two elements of human cognition, attention and perception. The third one is memory. Now, your memory if you read the magical number 7, it's a say and the theory of how we would perceive visuals. And it means 7 plus 2 or minus 2 elements. So if you have a picture or any visual, so there is a bus and there is commercial on the bus, if it includes 7 minus 2, which is 5, up to 7 plus 2, which is 9, so between 5 to 9 elements, you can easily remember the components and remember this commercial. If it has less than 5, you wouldn't really remember it. If it has more than 9, you wouldn't really remember it. Which means in design implications, when you do your interface, you shouldn't make it really crowded. So you need to make it classified, clear, and not too many components or not naive at the same time. So the filtering, the processing, retrieving, moving forward and backward, key functions, but not too many sub-elements. Okay? Same when you use DVD, when you use any PlayStation. If you see wicked options in your DVD, like applying for the theory test, so you have a DVD and you don't know where to go, you cannot really use it. So your user experience will be really negative. Okay? Cognition versus recall. So these elements of memory, it need to help you to recall what was in the previous slide, what is going next. Can you really recall 3 steps backward? So memory is quite important when users really use things, and then you give them the options to jump back to what was the design implications, various way of encoding information, promoting them, recalling them, moving back and forward, and exit options. Okay? And you can see this in any ATM machine. So when you use the ATM machine, it doesn't include many elements. Clear options, cash with receipt, withdrawal, just checking your balance, maximum of 9 elements in the screen. You wouldn't see more than this. If you see more than this, you wouldn't be able to remember. And then if you want to recall, so it gives you always the option of canceling your transaction, going back to what you have done before. Now, once we consider these 3 elements, so attention, perception, and memory, then we need to enable the user to learn about things. Now, you need to remember, especially in financial service, things might go a bit complicated. So if there is a complicated concept, you need a button for help us or help, so they get to learn about what's going on. They might need to learn about alternative services or to learn how to contact the right person in case if they don't know how to use the service. So this is an element of learning. But instead of you speak to them, maybe you need to deliver an electronic option in your interface. Okay, the design implication would be encouraging users to explore new things, have supplementary links, maybe internet-based interface plus the mobile interface together. Reading, listening, and speaking. So this is another element of human cognition. So, for example, if you have disabled people who are blind, so they cannot see, in this case you need to do sort of listening. Same for speaking. So if we are talking about illiterate people who don't know how to read or write, you either put something like voice command input options, so they can press a button so they can audio record a message, and somebody in the customer service will listen to this message. You can create sign in, but by sound print. So all these voice command and listening techniques need to be there for disabled people or people with special needs. The way they read, as I told you at the beginning, so more text, less visuals, or vice versa, these things would affect the user experience and human cognition. Okay, design implication, speech recognition, input options, speech output options, natural language system, which is using common sense buttons and icons. Mic, so this is for recording. Green means next or okay. Red means reject or backward. So these are, common sense for reading and speaking and understanding. Well, now we are talking about the last element of human cognition, and this will be the end of this session. So problem solving. Now I want you to think of, okay, you want to apply for a loan through mobile banking application. You might need to know what should be the accumulated interest rate. What if you cannot do this? If you have liability or credit insurance, how these things are get linked together, how would you evaluate your overall credit history? So these wouldn't be just simple options, one button press. No, it might include, problem solving techniques. So maybe you need to consider this to enhance your user experience. Okay, so this session gives you the key elements of human cognition, and you need to consider this in your interface. So if you go back to your report in the assignment, once you decide which system development approach you would follow, you need to tell me, okay, this is the interface, and I'm gonna show you later on a brief design instructions, how to use MIT Innovate, or simple, Visio or Lucid chart diagrammic techniques to design just a simple mobile interface. And then you have comments. So you need to tell me this element of input enhances memory, enhances learning, enhances reading and speaking. So once you develop the interface, you can have comments. Which element you did considers or enhances user experience and the human cognition elements. Okay, thanks for stopping by, and I wish you a good day. See you in the next session. Thanks.